بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. We start off tonight with what happens when we sit in salah. What is it that we do in terms of salah? We have a bit of a problem with the video. Somehow the went out, the settings. We'll see if we can get that right, inshallah. Yeah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As far as the settings in the salah is concerned, there are specific forms and ways and things that happen in that. And we'll start off with a hadith concerning that. And Ali ibn Abdul Rahman radiallahu ta'ala anhum, he says the following: Ra'ani ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma wa ana a'bathu bil hasa fi salah. So they were sitting in the salah, and he says Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma was saying that he was playing with some pebbles while sitting in the tashahhud. And فَلَمَّا انصَرَفْتُ نَهَانِي. So when he saw that, he prevented me from going on, and he said, إِسْنَا كَمَا كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يَصْنَعُ. Do as the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam did. فَقُلْتُ وَكَيْفَ كَانَ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يَصْنَعُ. So how did the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam do it? قال كان إذا جلس في الصلاة وضع كفه اليمنى على فخذ اليمنى وقبض أصابعه كلها وأشار بأصبعه التي تلي الإبهام. Then he said that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam in salah would put his right hand onto his right leg on the thigh, and he would clench his fist, and he would put out the finger that is next to the thumb, so it means the index finger. That is how. So this boy was then taught on how do you actually do within the sitting in salah. And in another riwayah, he said, وَيَدُ الْيُسْرَى عَلَى رُكْبَتِهِ الْيُسْرَى بَاسِطَ عَلَيْهَا. And the left hand is then open onto the left thigh. And that is how Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam sat. So we all sometimes figure out, how am I supposed to sit? What must I do when I sit? And the following two hadith is going to deal with what do we do with our legs and our feet when we sit in salah. And Ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhuma قال كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا قعد في الصلاة جعل قدمه اليسرى تحت فخذه وساقه وفرش قدمه اليمنى. That the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, when he sat in salah, would then take qadamihi al-yusra, would take his left foot and put it under the right foot, the right leg, by the thigh. وَفَرَشَ قَدَمِهِ الْيُمْنَى, and would lay his his right foot out. That is one way. Another way, عن وائل ابن حجر قال افترش رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رجله اليسرى والنصب اليمنى. Where in the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had put his left foot out under him, and the right foot would then be standing up like this at the back. Right? Standing up like. So the ulama looks at the two hadith and says there are two ways that you can then sit. One of those ways is with sitting with on your left leg and the right foot being up like that. The other one is putting out your left leg out underneath the knee and the thigh, not the thigh, the knee and below that, putting your left foot underneath, and then the right foot would then be on the ground, and you would sit with your buttocks flat on the ground, right? So that is how the ulama then brings those two together, is you can sit like that, you can sit like that. So that whenever we make salah, remember the Nabi alayhi salam said, Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Make salah like you see I make salah. So if a person has a problem because of an injury or old age or whatever has happened in the past, then you sit whatever is going to be comfortable for you. So we see then from that it now becomes mustahab in terms of hukum. It now becomes mustahab that your left hand is on your left knee on the thigh and your right hand on that, but the fingers are clenched for those that are on the right, and some ulama says that too even can make a circle, those two fingers, and the index finger is out. So, while the index finger is out, what do we do with the index finger? Because you see that some people, they move the index finger and some don't. So ulama differs in terms of when it comes to moving the finger. Some of the ulama says it is mustahab. Mustahab, meaning preferred. And some of the ulama says it is makruh. And that's the beauty of our deen. We record all differences where there is differences, and we look at what is the dalil, what is the proof that people has put down for whatever. So those who say that it is makruh, says you mustn't move your finger, they quote the hadith of Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhu, when he says, Anna Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kana yashiru bi usbihi idha da'a wa la yuharrikuha. He says that in salah, the Nabi alayhi salam used to put his finger out in front of him and he never moved it. Says Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiallahu anhu. Those ulama that says that it is permissible and it is mustahab, then quotes the hadith of Wail ibn Hajar when he explains the salah of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. He says, Thumma qabida thalatha, the Nabi alayhi salam clenched the three fingers, wa halqa halqa, made a round circle, thumma rafa usbuhi, and then put out his finger, fara'aytuhu yuharrikuha yada'u biha, and I saw the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam moving it and making a dua. So what does ulama do? They then combined the two hadith and says that to move the finger is mustahab, but it must not be done excessively. Must not be done excessively as if you are being playful. And that when you do that, then you must be knowledgeable of the hukum that goes with that. In other words, what is the hukum? It is mustahab. So why is it that ulama is saying that tahriq al-sibaba, that you move your index finger? They say there is a hikmah for that. And the hikmah that they say there is for that is that the vein that is connected there runs right up to the heart. It's connected to the heart. And at the time when a person moves it, it awakens the heart and keeps you awake against shaitan influencing you. And that is why the movement of the finger will help in terms of making it severe and difficult for shaitan to affect it. Now, they take that from a hadith of the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. روي النافع عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما كان إذا جلس في الصلاة وضع يديه على ركبتيه. So Nafi', he was the helper of the son of Sayyidina Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar. And he narrates from what he has seen from Abdullah ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. So the son of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, when he sits in salah, then he would wada'a yadayhi ala rukbatayhi, put his hands onto his, let's say knees for now, it's easier to explain. Wa ashara bi usbu'ihi, would put out his finger, watba'aha basarahu, and he would actually look at his finger. Because the attention that you then takes, you give to looking at your finger, is in terms of what the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, لها أشد على الشيطان من الحديد يعني السبابة, that it is more severe, the effect is more severe on shaitan when that finger is put out. Let's come, seeing that we are in the julus, let's talk about the tashahhud. I'm going to quote one example. There are many examples of what happens in the tashahhud. The one that we're going to quote is from Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhum. قال كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يعلمنا التشهد كما يعلمنا القرآن. He says that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam taught us the tashahhud like he would teach us the Holy Quran. In other words, with so much emphasis. And the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had said, and what we normally say, At-tahiyatul mubarakatul salawatul tayyibatu lillahi. Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. So that is one way. But I do want to advise everybody that there is many other ways of saying the tashahhud. So which means that if you come in contact with somebody, you can't tell him the only thing that is right is the one that I've learned since madrasa and this class and that class and that class. There is other ways of saying it. Number 19, in terms of the sunan of salah that we have done, is also the salah or salawat, like we would say, on the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam at the end, right? After the last tashahhud. That is considered a sunnah. It is considered a sunnah by majority of fuqaha, and some of the Shafi'iyya considers it a fard to put salawat on the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And the sigha, the way that it is said, mention some of the ulama, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim wa barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamin innaka hamidun majid. Now you are familiar with that, but Al-Imam al-Shafi'i says, don't say it like this. Al-Imam al-Shafi'i says, put Sayyidina in front, meaning our master. So therefore, we have also learned that Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad kama sallaita ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Sayyidina Ibrahim wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad kama barakta ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala ali Sayyidina Ibrahim fil alamin innaka hamidun majid. So Al-Imam al-Shafi'i says, out of honor and respect to the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam, don't say Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Say Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right? Out of respect for speaking about the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam. Then the hadith of Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu anha, in the dua that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had made. Now we've done this already. When you are finished with your tashahhud, then the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam encourages that you make a dua. And what is the dua that we have done? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr وأعوذ بك من فتنة المسيح الدجال اللهم إني أعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات اللهم إني أعوذ بك من المأثم والمغرم. And because this is being recorded, it means that we have an opportunity to go back to this recording and repeat it every time. What does it mean? Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabil qabr. Oh Allah, I seek your protection from the punishment of the grave, of the qabr. Wa a'udhu bika min fitnatil masih ad-dajjal. And I seek your protection from the trials that Dajjal is going to bring. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnatil mahya wal mamat. Oh Allah, I seek your protection from the trials or the fitness that happen in life as well as the time of my death. Meaning that at the time of your death, your greatest trial at that time is to be able to either say or in your mind, if you can't say it, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. For the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam says, whoever's last words is La ilaha illallah dakhal al-jannah. That person enters the Jannah. And then the last part of that dua, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-ma'tham wal-maghram. Oh Allah, I seek your protection from falling into sin or into serious debt. Into serious debt. So that is in terms of that. Let's come to the kunut. That hadith was by Sayyidah Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha. And that hadith is in Al-Bukhari and Muslim. Let's come to the kunut. The kunut by Al-Imam Shaf'i and the Shafi'i madhab is sunnah in Salat al-Fajr or Salat al-Subh as well as in witr in the last half of the month of Ramadan. From the 15th night, in other words. Says Al-Imam Shafi, it is sunnah to do it there. If the person leaves it off by mistake in Salatul Subh, leaves it off by mistake, then you must do sujood sahwi. Says Al-Imam Shafi that it is sunnah, and if you leave it off, then you must do sujood sahwi. Right? Before you do your last sujood. Before you greet. وَيَسْتَحَبُّ الْجَهْرِ فِيهِ. And when you say the kunut, that you say it out loud. There's one addition that I want to make, and that is also ulama in agreement that when there is disaster that has happened, and we appeal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then that is also encouraged to make dua that Allah ta'ala bring ease. And like we find ourselves today, where what is happening in Gaza and in Palestine, at least you feel there is something that you can do, and that is why we do the kunut. So, it is mustahab also to raise your hands. When you do the kunut, some ulama feels to raise your hands is not mustahab. And it is also mustahab to, after the dua, to wipe your hands over your face, or you can leave it off. So you see, some do it and some don't do it. And in terms of what is it that we say when it is the kunut, and for those that have maybe a difficulty in remembering the kunut, I advise you again, go back to this recording, and you will get it from there. So what do we say in the kunut? Allahumma hdina fi man hadayt, wa afina fi man. I want to make a difference. Sometimes if we are alone, then we will say it differently. When I say Allahumma hdina, then it means that I am the Imam and I'm saying, oh Allah, guide all of us. When I'm alone, I will say Allahumma hdini. But we'll do both, inshallah ta'ala. So when you're alone, Allahumma hdini fi man hadayt, wa afini fi man afayt, wa tawallani fi man tawallayt, wa barik li fi ma a'tayt, wa qini sharra ma qadayt, فإنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم. So that is in terms of a person making it on his own. When we make it in jama'ah, Allahumma ahdina fi man hadayt, wa'afina fi man afayt, wa tawallana fi man tawallayt, wa barik lana fi ma a'tayt, wa qina sharra ma qadayt, fa innaka taqdi wa la yuqda alayk, wa innahu la yadhillu man walayt, wa la ya'izzu man 'adayt, tabarakta rabbana wa ta'alayt, falakal hamdu ala ma qadayt, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin nabiyil ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wa sallam. That is as far as the kunut is concerned. When it comes to the when do we do the kunut by the Shafi'iyya, means after we have come up from ruku in the last rak'ah. The Malikiyya, and remember that we do different madhab so that we understand the different opinions that there are. The Malikiyya says that the kunut is mustahab. But if a person forgets to do the kunut, then it's not necessary to do sujudu sahwi by the Malikiyya. And for them, the Malikiyya, the kunut is before you go into ruku. By the Maliki madhab for Salatul Subh. As well as they don't say that it must be jahran, that you say it out loud. They say it must be sirran, that it must be said by yourself, by the imam, as well as those that follow the imam. And you are rewarded for it as a dua. So that is the Malikiyya. Now we come to the Hanafi madhab. The Hanafi madhab says that the kunut is a sunnah in witr, always in witr. And its place is also after you come back from the ruku. And that is how the ulama deals with the kunut in terms of the different madhahib and what is permissible. Coming back to us as the Shafi'iyya madhab, which means that we do the kunut, we say the kunut loud, we do it after we come up from ruku in the last rak'ah. If the kunut is forgotten when you do Salatul Subh, then you must do sujudu sahwi. Right? To do an extra sajdah litilawah in the morning of Jum'ah. In the morning of Jum'ah. So for Jum'ah, in the morning subuh, it is sunnah to recite Surah to Sajdah. And Surah to Sajdah has a Sajdah in it. Right? So it is considered a sunnah for a person to do it by the Shafi'i madhab, that it must always be done if the person recites Surah to Sajdah until you get to the point of Sajdah. The Hanafiya and some of the Hanabila, the Hanbali madhab, says it's a sunnah, but it should not be done every day or every Friday. There must not be a continuous, so that the person that is a normal person is not going to think that that is part of the arkans of salah. In other words, it must be done. That is the Hanafiya, the Hanafi madhab, and the Hanbali madhab. Some of the Maliki ulama says that it is makruh to continually do it. It is makruh to continually do it. And to specifically recite the part of the surah where there is a sajda, so that people will go into sajda. In other words, you make sure that you only recite that part. Say some of the Maliki ulama that it is considered makruh. Other ulama also says, no, it is not makruh, as long as there is a few people with the imam and so on. So, why is it that some of the ulama says that it is a sunnah? Because whenever we speak, we must speak with dalil, with proof. بما رواه مسلم في صحيحه وغيره عن ابن عباس أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقرأ الجمعة في صلاة الصبح ألف لام ميم تنزيل and هل أتى على الإنسان. So that Abdullah ibn Abbas, he says that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam used to recite for Jumu'ah the whole surah of Surah Sajda, Alif Lam Mim, Tanzilul Kitab la Rayba Fihi, and the next surah, Hal Ata Alal Insan. And that is why they say that with the Sajda. Also, they also add in what is narrated in Tabrani and Abdullah bin Mas'ud, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان يقرأ في صلاة الصبح يوم الجمعة ألف لام ميم تنزيل السجدة هل أتى على الإنسان. So in another narration that is also in Tabrani is the same, that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had recited Surah As-Sajda as well as Hal Ata al-Insan. So therefore, when we speak about Surah Sajda, there is an ayah in there with a sajda. Allah Ta'ala says, إِنَّمَا يُؤْمِنُ بِآيَاتِنَا الَّذِينَ إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهَا خَرُّوا سُجَّدًا وَسَبَّحُوا بِحَمْدِ رَبِّهِمْ وَهُمْ لَا يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ. So there, where you hear there, إِذَا ذُكِّرُوا بِهَا خَرُّوا. خَرُّوا means that they go into sujood, they're going down. Sujjadan, going down into sujood. It's the ayah number 15. So therefore, that is why it is required that there will be a sajda in terms of that, inshallah ta'ala. And thereafter, when the person then comes back, continues the recital and so on, and continues. So, some of the ulama that says that it is sunnah, says that it should not be done all the time, like you had listened to different of the ulama that has said that. That is in terms of all of the sunan of the salah that we have covered. We have covered, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, 22 sunan of salah. 22 sunan of salah. Maybe it will be advantageous just to mention them off again, because when we go now, then we're going to speak about dhikr after the salah or dua after the salah, and what is it permissible, is it not permissible, who should do it, and what is said when it is said. But just to go quickly through the different sunan that we have mentioned. When I now turn the pages, it looks a lot. So the first one was that it is a sunnah to raise your hands to your ears and to your shoulders. It is also a sunnah to place the right hand over the left arm, and that it is above the navel. And we have done, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad, dua al-iftitah, that is said after you say Allahu Akbar, we say the dua al-iftitah. It is also mustahab that you say A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim before reciting softly, and you say Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loud, and we dealt with that part. It is also a sunnah to say Ameen after the Imam. Now, sometimes as an Imam, and I now speak as an Imam, sometimes you think, why is there only a couple of people saying Ameen? Because you hear this is a long time in existence. So we must get to, what does Ameen mean? Oh Allah, accept. Oh Allah, accept. So whenever we make dua, we must remember that. And then also the reciting after the Fatiha, even if it's the shorter surah that you are reciting. And those who have been for Hajj and in the Haram, you'll see there that the Imam here recites any short surah, long surah, it doesn't matter. Then also, we said it is a sunnah to recite softly where it's supposed to be soft, and loud where it's loud. But the soft one that we say that we recite for Dhuhr and Asr is that we at least hear ourselves, or the person next to you can barely hear you, but it does not mean there is absolute silence. You at least hear yourself, or you can see the person's lips is going, and so on. And then to say Allahu Akbar, going from one position to another position. And then to open the fingers when we go into ruku onto our knees, the left and the right. The dhikr in the ruku, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim. And we see that has come from the ayah that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had recited. And number 11 is to say the dhikr after we have come up from ruku. We have said there, Rabbana lakal hamd, Rabbana wa lakal hamd. And we have told the whole story about how it came to that because of Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Then also, to raise the hands when we come up from ruku is also considered a sunnah. And when we go into sujood, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, also from an ayah that the Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam had said. And then number 14 is that we bring our fingers together in the sujood. When we go on the ground, we don't open it. And the recital of the tashahhud in the last tashahhud, with the first and second sitting. And then the others were the ones that we had done tonight. So those are all the sunan that we have done in terms of the salah. So what does a Muslim do in terms of sunan that you have heard? Is that you put into practice that sunnah which you have heard, so that because we have children and we have grandchildren, that we have to show them how is it that you make salah, what do you do in salah and things like that. And we are always reminded on how we make salah, like the Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had made salah. Wa akhiru da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Is there any questions, everybody? Yeah.